Welcome back. Today, I wanted to cover something that's exciting for me because I didn't think it was possible, and that is recording from my Soundcraft Signature 12 MTK into my iPad using GarageBand. The issue was that the 12 MTK usually expects you to use channels 11 and 12 coming back into the board as your stereo out. But the unique thing about the 12 MTK is every channel, including 1112, has a little button called USB return. Because it doesn't have channel inserts, it has USB inserts, meaning you can use your DAW, be it on an iPad or a laptop or computer, you can use it as an effects generator, and if your DAW lets you choose the outputs for every channel, you can set the input to the channel the same as the output. So one comes in, and you set the output to 1 instead of stereo or instead of a bus. The only complicated thing is it took me a while to figure it out. So there is a little red button that mutes the internal structure of the board, meaning it stops the board from being used as a standard mixer. If you don't have it muted, you hear what normally is on the mixer, even if you didn't have anything USB plugged in. That's how to make the mixer work as a regular analog mixer. Normally, when you use it in the scenario where you're listening on 11 and 12, they come back. The USB return button is pushed on 11 and 12, and that little internal bypass button must be pushed. It must be red for it to work properly. In the scenario that works with GarageBand, because GarageBand is hard-coded to channels 1 and 2 as the output, I found that I had to unmute that. So the board is acting as a regular board. And then I punched the USB return button on all the channels. So doing that, in a sense, mutes the board. So I'm not just hearing the loopback of what's coming directly into the board. I'm only going to hear what's coming back down the USB channels, except 11 and 12. It's weird, but it'll make sense if you have one of these boards. So I push USB return on all the channels. Then on channels 1 and 2, I pan hard left channel 1 and hard right channel 2, and I push up those two faders. I pulled all the rest of the faders down so I didn't get any noise in the system, especially the effects end. The effects return, The effects return on this board tends to be a little noisy, so if you keep it turned down, you shouldn't hear a lot of noise. You'll only hear the preamps and whatever noise your DAW might add, or if you have noisy microphones. So I'm ignoring channel 11 and 12. I've got things in 1 through 7, and then I have a stereo set of TRSs in 910 for my overheads. They're actually coming out of another Behringer device, but they're coming out of the back of it with TRS, so it's just acting as a preamp and phantom power. It was the only way I could get 9 things into this board for an iPad is the only way I could do it, because the iPad doesn't let you merge 2 USB devices. So this was my compromise. In this scenario, like I said, you have to leave that mute button not lit. For some reason, if you punch it, it doesn't work. If you unmute it, it works. Go into GarageBand, and then you set up all your channels. And then when you're ready to record, the headphone button should be lit, the record button should be lit, and the little orange symbol looks like radio wave. It looks like a Wi-Fi symbol, which I need to look up, but I'm assuming that it is input monitoring. All 3 of those need to be lit for every channel you want to record on. And then, in my experience, I could hear the full kit. And I used the standard, I think there was a drums punchy option. Gives it some nice EQ and some nice reverb, but it worked fine for just tracking. It just gives you some nice effects. It doesn't actually record the effects. They're just added, so you get raw signal. You also need to make sure to go into Advanced and turn on the Multitrack function in GarageBand, or you won't get multi-track functions. And set up your metronome if you want to. Hit record and go to town. In my case, I added an audio track, which was a bit complicated. You can look up tutorials on that. That would extend the time of this video infinitely, and I don't want to mess with that. But I did finally figure out how to pull an audio file from OneDrive into GarageBand and drop it on a track. And you just have to make sure the track, when you click on it, is periodically going to want to record enable. So I set it to like channel 14 or something high that I knew wasn't used and wasn't going to record anything anyway. And then right before I tracked the drums, I clicked on a different channel. You have to be on the channel you have to not be selecting the channel you want to affect. So click on something else and then go and hit the record and unrecord enable your MP3 track or your AIF or whatever your backing tracks are. And then you can adjust the volume of that track, start your playhead at the beginning, hit record. You should hear a count in 4, and then you'll hear the music and everything rolling, and you should hear the drums. Well, if you're doing drums, you should hear whatever your instrument is back in your headphones, plus your audio track and your metronome, and you just record however long you need to. I did find that I had to fiddle with the length, otherwise it defaulted to 8 bars, although I think if I had imported my song first and left it on auto, it probably would have figured out the length of the song. But in my case, I didn't do that first, and it had locked itself to 8 bars. There's a little plus symbol in the far right corner. Clicking on that, you can just uncheck auto and tap the bars up. The other issue I ran into is, for some reason, even though I had 30 gigs of space left, GarageBand threw an error the first time I tried to record and told me I didn't have enough room. So I saved the file, quit GarageBand, rebooted the entire iPad, fired up just GarageBand, worked fine. I've recorded a couple of times since then, and it's been fine. So anyway, a little bit long-winded there, but all that to say, you can record using one of these Switchcraft or Soundcraft Signature MTK models with GarageBand and not lose any input channels and still get stereo out 1 and 2 into your headphones, which is fabulous. That's all for now. Hope you subscribe and come back for more. Catch you later.